All right, if you've spent any time at all with the automation tool n8n, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that moment you're staring at the screen, totally confused by a JSON error that just makes no sense. Well, today, we're going to crack that code. Let's finally solve n8n's most frustrating JSON puzzle, once and for all.
Does this sound familiar? Oh man, you've checked your brackets, every comma is perfectly placed, the data preview even looks great, but n8n still screams invalid JSON at you. It is such a classic n8n moment, and trust me, you are definitely not alone on this one.
So let's start with the symptom, right? The JSON error itself. You've got your workflow, it's running like a dream, you're trying to send some data in an HTTP request, and then bam, the error hits. Everything looks right, but your entire workflow just grinds to a halt. So frustrating.
But what if I told you the problem isn't your JSON at all? The real issue, the disease behind the symptom, is actually a very specific quirk in how n8n processes its data. It's time to move from total frustration to finally understanding what's going on under the hood.
Okay, this slide right here gets to the absolute heart of the matter. We all instinctively blame ourselves, right? Oh, I must have missed a comma or a bracket. But the real culprit, most of the time, is this weird conflict between n8n's JSON mode and the dynamic expressions you're trying to shove inside of it.
So there are really three main culprits we see. The biggest offender, by far, is that confusion between expression mode and JSON mode. But you can also get tripped up by missing data fields, when you expect something to be there and it's not, or even weird hidden characters when you're scraping web content.
And here it is, the #1 issue. When you're in a node like the HTTP request node, and you drop an expression, like this one, directly into the JSON body, you're basically setting a trap for yourself. It's so tricky because the preview window might even show you the correct final output, making you think you're safe. But when n8n actually runs, it fails during that substitution process. This direct mixing is the root of almost all the...
So, okay, how do we fix this? The answer is a really simple but incredibly powerful two-step solution. Seriously, think of this as your new golden rule. It's going to make your life so much easier.
Everybody, meet your new best friend, the code node. I want you to think of this node as your clean, dedicated workshop. Instead of trying to build a complex JSON structure inside another node where expressions are just causing chaos, you build it here first, in a totally controlled and safe environment.
And the process? It's beautifully simple. Step 1. In your code node, you assemble all your data as a normal JavaScript object. Step 2. You use the command json.stringify to turn that object into a perfectly clean, simple text string. And finally, step 3. You just pass that finished string to whatever node needs it next. Prepare, finalize, pass. That's it.
This is the key concept right here. By separating the construction of your JSON from the use of it, you completely sidestep that whole parsing problem. You're no longer asking the HTTP request node to do any thinking. You're just handing it a finished, ready-to-go product. Now look, the code node method is going to solve like 90% of your issues. I'm serious. But for those other really tricky cases, let's add a few more tools to your troubleshooting toolkit. This is going to make you a true JSON master in n8n.
Here are 3 quick-fire checks to always keep in mind. First, double-check that your nodes are actually running in the right order. Seems simple, but it gets people. Second, if you're ever in doubt, just copy your JSON into an external validator online. And third, you can build your own little safety net with something called a try-catch block.
The execution order one is huge. Sometimes you'll get an error that says, referenced node is unexecuted. That's just n8n's way of telling you, hey, you're trying to grab data from a node that hasn't even run yet. Always trace your workflow connections to make sure there's a logical flow.
And for a real pro-level move, you can wrap your JSON parsing inside a try-catch block, again, right inside a code node. What this does is, if some weird, malformed data comes through from an API or a web scrape, your code can catch that error and handle it gracefully instead of just letting the entire workflow crash and burn. It's a lifesaver.
So there you have it. The mystery is finally solved. That frustrating invalid JSON error can honestly be a thing of the past. It was never about writing perfect syntax. It was about building it in the right place. So the only question left is, where will you be building your JSON from now on? Thanks for joining this explainer.